and gentlemen, let me introduce you to this. But what you have to understand is they were talking about how to heal from past relationships. But in order to introduce my beautiful daughter, I'm going to do it in song form, right? Just a little bit. So, never seen you looking so lovely as you did tonight. Never seen you shine so bright, 'cause you're amazing, right? That's because it's from the song Lady in Red. That's her. That's my daughter, Lady in Red. She's wearing the color passion and power today. Not only is she the lady in red with the color passion and power, she's also my daughter, like I said, but she's bad to the bone. Gotta watch out, watch your mouth when you're talking about my child. But anyways, she's also an international bodybuilding superstar phenomenon and health coach. And listen, get this, of course, she's my child. Why? Because she's so famous. She is one of the best in the world. She's a Guinness World Record holder. And today she's going to be sharing some nuggets with you all. And you probably don't even know who she is yet, but if you know your colors, you figured it out already. But without any further ado, I want to bring to you, in all seriousness, a young lady that is powerful, intelligent, and vibrant, sharing with you today how to heal from past relationships. None other than my daughter, who drinks a lot of water, Miss Stephanie Boland.
Thank you so much, Obam. How can I feel like I almost shouldn't even present now with that kind of introduction. It's like you already just, as you would say, dropped the mic, broke it, and now it's like, what is there left to say? Thank you so much, Dr. Obam. Honestly, it's such a privilege to be able to present here and be able to call you Dad. Because honestly, I find that you and Anna are two people that really show me what true love actually looks like. And I hold that to a really high standard. I think the screen might be frozen. So if anybody can just let me know that they can still hear me, give me a thumbs up. Everything's good. Okay, perfect. My screen just froze there for a second. So I wanted to make sure I didn't dive into stuff and then all of a sudden you didn't hear it. So thank you so much, Obam, again. And like I said, you and Anna really do give me a vision of exactly what true love and what an amazing relationship really looks like. So I need to thank both of you for being those not only amazing mentors, but amazing, second parents in a way that really lead by example in showing exactly what a true, loving, fulfilling relationship looks like. Oh, I love you guys. So as everybody can see, we're just a really big, fun-loving family here. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you some knowledge that I've acquired throughout my years, throughout my struggles, that have led me to a place where I've been able to call in this family that truly is the real depiction of what true love looks like. Because true love is so much more than what society has programmed us to think it is. It's so much more than just having that one partner that you spend your whole life with, which is obviously extremely important. But true love really comes down to complete acceptance of the self and of others that you're surrounding yourself by. There's so much more to true love than what we've been told by society as kids, as to say that we have to be partnered with one person and that's the only person that we can actually really love. Clearly, there's love in different shapes and forms. But it's understanding that we can really get to that next level in consciousness and understanding true love is consistency and acceptance. So let me dive into this a little bit further with all of you, because I'm sure a lot of you guys know me as more of a health coach, as someone who's, the nutritional expert, the one that is kind of the inner nerd who's always talking about, the biology of fear, if you've caught some of my other talks and talking about nutrition and health and fitness. But really, that is only the first part of the 4 steps of connection that allow us to reach that higher level of awareness in life. So because of the way that I like to coach and I like to bring my clients through a journey, that's why I started off by doing my talks on nutrition, on how to love the self, how to reconnect with the self. Because you first need to do that before you can even think about loving others, before you can even think about approving of others. Because what is love without approval? So many people are always talking about how to love yourself. But if you don't first approve of yourself, then where is the love going to come from? And that's a big part of being able to elevate yourself in that journey when it comes to truly reconnecting with the self, feeding your body with the right nourishing foods, feeding your mind with the right nourishing thoughts. And once you've actually finished that process, and once you've gotten yourself to the next level, then it's time to move on to the next one, which is loving others and reconnecting with others. Because there really is 4 different points of consciousness, in my personal opinion. And I'm sure a lot of you are seeing this when it comes to COVID and the way things are happening right now. It's really driven by the fact that so many people have gotten so disconnected. They've gotten so disconnected from everything that they're doing in life. They've gotten so disconnected from the fact that they need to first connect with themselves, connect with others, not through social media, but deep, soulful, energetic entanglement connection. And that's what I'm here to help you with. That's what I'm here to share with you in terms of my own journey on how I have been able to, like I say, attract this vibe, attract this tribe and this family of people who fulfill every single part of me. So before I do that, I do want to give you a little bit of background. I want to give you a little bit, as Dr. Obam likes to say, always give the context before you give the content. So don't worry, I'm going to give you step-by-step way of being able to release and let go of past emotions so that you can call in the ones that you truly crave. But first, you need to understand that you have to create space within your own energetic self before you can call in the love that you actually crave, whether it be in friendships, whether it be in business partnerships, whether it be in romantic relationships. You first have to create space. And that's something that not enough people understand. So many people are out there saying, I want true love. I want to find the perfect man, the perfect woman, whoever it might be for me. And they're so focused on finding the right person instead of first becoming the right person. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you desire. The universe responds to what you are. And that's the biggest step. If you are going to take anything out of what I'm talking to you about today, it's that. You must first become the person you want to attract. Business, friendships, relationships, whatever it is. So diving into that even more, how many people here believe that we all have a purpose in life, that we're put on this planet with a purpose and it's our job to achieve it? Everybody who believes that, raise your hand. I want to see you write down yes in the comment box. If you're on Facebook, write down yes in the comments. Amazing. I'm seeing lots of hands, lots of yeses. A lot of people here, clearly very awakened people, highly conscious leaders. You believe that we have a purpose in life. Now I want to ask you this question. How many people believe that you must first earn the purpose before it can be downloaded and handed to you by source? Who believes that? I want to see yeses in the comment box if you believe that you must earn your purpose. You have to come halfway. You can't have, everybody has a purpose on this planet. And I'll tell you in a second how this relates to relationships and love. But first, using a purpose is a better way to draw a parallel, because so many people think, yes, we're put on this planet for a reason. But what happens to the people that end up not fulfilling that purpose? It's because they haven't done the inner work to have earned the fact that they finally download exactly what it is. And I'm talking about inner work that is all about personal development, getting you to that next level of consciousness so you can be so connected with your own self and intuition that you can actually receive the source downloads that are given to you all the time. But what happens is we've become so disconnected from our own selves, and we've become so disconnected from source and from others and from Mother Nature that we've put ourselves into this state where it's like we're living in an empty bubble. Someone said this to me the other day, that humans are called beings for a reason. It's because we're meant to be. We're meant to survive. We're meant to exist. We're meant to create. But if you're not doing any of those things, and if you're not connecting in the same energetic level that we're supposed to, then we're not really human beings. We're humans dying. So being able to get into a really highly energetic space, being able to reconnect with the self on a level that is beyond probably what you might have thought to be true connection and love before, is extremely, extremely important. So now I want to ask you, do you believe that there is someone on this planet, or that there are certain people that are placed on this planet that you are meant to be 100% energetically entangled with, that your energies were meant to be together, were meant to mesh together, and were meant to co-create. Who believes that? I want to see hands. I want to see yeses in the comment box if you're watching on Facebook. Amazing. Now, love is the same thing as a purpose. You have to earn it. You can't sit there and say, oh, you know what? How come I'm not calling in the people that love me? Why is there so much drama in my life? Why am I perpetually in toxic relationships? And say, you know, why me? Sitting in that victimhood mentality. Well, stop giving your power away and start asking yourself, where within myself that I have these traits that are bothering me from other people? You know, where within myself do I need to be starting to work on myself so that I can now resonate with the positive, resonate with all of the amazing qualities of myself that are going to start to attract other growth-minded, like-minded people. That's where earning love is also a big part of it. And that's why I want to draw that parallel when it comes to purpose and love. It's all the same. It has to be earned. So now you're probably asking, okay, you know, what has made you get to this state? You know, what have you gone through in your past that's gotten you to a place where you're now able to speak out about relationships and finding love? Well, I'm the first to say that I'm never going to talk about something or coach on something or help someone with something unless I've personally lived it myself and then found a way on the other side successfully. So that's why I've waited until now. That's why I've waited until the fact that I have called in this amazing family of people that fulfill me on the deepest level before sharing all of the tools and all of the methods that I took to get to this level. Because if you knew me before, you would know that I wasn't always surrounded by this kind of family. You would know that I was lonely. You would know that I was in perpetual toxic relationships, one after the other. It was bad. And it took me a really long time of going through emotional abuse that was most likely, and not most likely, it really did come from myself. Because I kept asking myself, why am I in these perpetual toxic relationships? But it's not until I realized that the toxic relationship was with myself that things started to change. So that's where I started to dive into personal development. That's where I started to get myself to a place where I first became the people I wanted to attract. And that's when my life changed. Now, it hasn't been that long that I've been in this family. It's only been maybe about 6 months. And that's the biggest thing that I want to talk to all of you about is the step-by-step method I took and also that I'm helping clients take to get to this level of fulfillment. I'm seeing Leaf saying the law of attraction. Exactly. We attract what we are. So now you're probably asking, okay, how did you do it? How did you get from a place of being in these awful relationships, being surrounded by people that didn't support what you did, even on a business level, and being almost in a place of anger of saying, why am I so lonely in this mission, in this journey that I know I'm meant to take? So the first step that I took was really understanding the fact that the subconscious mind cannot release an emotion until it's learned what it needs to learn from it. It needs to close that loop. So think of any emotions that even when you were a kid, you know, maybe it was things from a parent, things from the people who took care of you as a kid. Now, your subconscious mind is created between the first 7 years of your life. That's when you are starting to shape what your beliefs are, what you believe to be treating someone properly, you know, seeing your parents and how they acted. Those are the years where you shape your subconscious mind. Now, ask yourself, because this is something that's from the work of Dr. Hendricks, and he understands that connection is the true way to love when it comes to kids. But what happens is a lot of times there's disconnection between the parent and the child. There's a lot of disconnection and ruptured connection that causes that child to have these open loops. You know, it causes the kid to have these loops that are open in their mind. And as soon as it's open, because there's been some kind of chaos or trauma, maybe they had an alcoholic parent, maybe they had someone that abused them, whatever it might be, it causes an open loop in your subconscious mind. And then what happens is when they're older, anytime that they're put in a situation that has similar sounds, smells, whatever it might be, they fall back into that childlike state because it reminds them of it, and they haven't yet healed that loop. They haven't closed it yet. So if you're having perpetual toxic relationships, and again, I'm talking about every single level. I'm not just talking about on a relationship when it comes to romantic relationships. I'm talking about in business, with friendships. If you're finding you're having trouble with relationships, first start by looking back at your childhood and asking yourself, where was the first moment that I started to feel maybe like I was unworthy or like I wasn't enough? Was there a moment for all of you where you felt that way as a kid? And you might say, I had an awesome childhood. Maybe you're someone who had amazing parents like I did. I had absolutely phenomenal parents. I love my parents to death. But sometimes there's still things that happen within your childhood that cause that open loop, that cause that disruption, that chaos, that trauma, that can keep coming back in your future unless you address it. So I want to do a little exercise with all of you right now so that you can actually get the most out of this session, because I'm a true believer in being able to give you actionable steps instead of just giving you a whole bunch of content on why this is something that's important to do. Let's actually do it and put your money where your mouth is. So when it comes to your past, I want you to envision, and I want you to close your eyes if you have to, and ask yourself, what moment did I start feeling like I wasn't enough in my childhood? What moment did I feel like I went through maybe a traumatic experience? What did that feel like? What was around you? What were the sights and the smells? Who was with you? And who was the one that was causing you to feel that way? Now, I want you to step out of your body as if you're now looking in at that childhood you from your own higher self right now. And I want you to ask yourself, what would you say to that child? Would you still tell them that they're not enough? Would you tell them that they're a bratty kid that's not worthy of love or of fulfillment or of success? What would you tell that child? And I want you to tell them that in your mind right now. Now, I want you to step back into your own body as a child. And I want you to recreate that situation in your mind. I want you to visualize the healed version of that situation. Visualize maybe that person that was causing you pain giving you a hug. Visualize maybe that father figure who you just craved their approval but you never got, telling you how much they love and approve of you. Visualize exactly what it feels like to heal that situation. And then tell yourself that you are enough. I want to see everyone on the screen right now saying, I am enough. Now, this is an exercise that you can do anytime that you have had any kind of emotional trauma in your past. And I know that some of you might have things that are extremely painful. I've worked with clients before that I was flabbergasted at the first thought or image that came into their mind. So everyone has a different level. Everyone has a different threshold. But that doesn't make what you're feeling any less important. Even if you did have an amazing childhood and something still happened that caused you to feel that way, it's not any less important than someone who was abused or whatever it might be. Because it's you, it's your own mind, it's your own subconscious. And it's our jobs to, now that we have the awareness, to be able to go back and heal those moments. Because now that you have the tools to be able to heal that moment, and this is actually work from Dr. Obam Bowen when it comes to creating a replacement picture. If you guys have all read Today is the Day, that's one of the biggest things that he talks about is replacement pictures, because your mind thinks in pictures. And this is why it's amazing to be able to use the tool of visualization to recreate your own reality. Because your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between a dream and a reality. It can't tell. So now that you have the tools to be able to go back and heal yourself, you can take it moment by moment, peel back those layers, deconstruct all of those past issues that you might have, all of those past pains. Because what happens is The subconscious mind will cause you to recreate those situations over and over and over again until you finally learn what you were supposed to learn from it, so you can close the loop and let go of that anchor. Because that's how it works. You have to learn and you have to apply the wisdom that you get from those situations. Now, I want you all to also step into a place of gratitude for that person that you visualized in your mind that may have caused you the trauma or the pain. I want you to say thank you. Say that you're grateful to them for having given you the strength to be able to continue on in this journey, for having shaped you into the beautiful person that you are right now, and for having given you the wisdom so that you can actually move forward and maybe potentially even help other people with some of the struggles that you've gone through. Because that's something that so many people on this call are doing right now, because we've been blessed with an opportunity that allows us to put our own specialized knowledge, our own struggle to success stories on a global platform that's going to then reach and impact the lives of billions. And that's something that I'm extremely passionate about, because I do believe we all have a purpose. And if all of you are on this call right now, it means that you have been blessed with the opportunity to be able to join us on this mission to do exactly like I'm doing right now and touch the lives of people who maybe have had toxic relationships or traumas from their past. So if you are at all interested in joining us, please comment that you want more info and we can definitely help you out with that. But moving on to being able to, like I said, heal and release, because envision all of these traumas as anchors. I want you to envision it in your mind. Again, visualization is huge with everything that you're doing to be able to heal from your past. So I want you to visualize like all of the pains and all of the traumas, like they're anchors, and like you have these chains that are literally on you. Now, what happens when you close that loop in your mind? What happens when you do that step-by-step process that I just gave you right now is you can cut those chains. You can actually visualize yourself cutting those chains. Maybe it's a person that was toxic that you need to cut off. Visualize the chain breaking that's no longer there. Maybe it's someone that caused you pain in the past, but you've decided to forgive them and you're still okay with having them in your life. But because you've forgiven them and learned what you needed to learn, you can now cut that chain too. So the idea is that you cannot call in the love that you crave in every aspect of your life until you cut those anchors. Because if you think about your energetic body, in a sense, I want you to all think about your heart as being this place within your chest that has an opening. It's this abundant place. But what happens is that if you don't actually heal from any of those past wounds or traumas, and if you don't actually cut those anchors or cut those soul ties of the people that have hurt you in the past, what you're doing is you're taking up energetic space within that heart. You're taking up energetic space within your body that now is blocked and can't be filled by the actual abundant love that you crave. And that's part of addressing and earning your love. That's part of addressing and earning true, codependent, interdependent, massive love that you really want to have and that I know all of you crave. So when it comes to being able to cut soul ties, that's also something that is so, so important, and is something that I had to do before I got into this abundant place that I'm in right now. And again, it comes down to visualization. Now, I really want to explain this to you on more of an energetic sense, because there's a whole other world out there right now that we can't see. There's energies going everywhere. If you dive into quantum physics, you'll understand that at one point in our lives, we were all one. We were one little ball. And it's not until the Big Bang where we all exploded that now we've turned into all of these amazing beings on this planet. But what happened is that when that happened, we are still energetically connected. All of us are actually connected. That's why sometimes when twins, when they're born, sometimes they can actually feel pain the other one's going through, and they're not even physically together. Same thing with other people that, like I said, the people that you were purposefully meant to intertwine with and to connect with, you can feel someone else's pain or happiness or frustration if you tap into that higher level of consciousness and understand true energetic and quantum entanglement. Now that you understand that, imagine what happens when you are in an intimate relationship with someone, when you actually exchange energies. Now, what happens is that you become tied energetically to that person. Those energies are so entangled that you have to actually actively release them, or else you could be living your life still having that anchor of that person, maybe that past relationship, that you actually haven't taken the time to deconstruct. Now, one of the things that I really want to tell all of you, and if there's some of you that are on this call that have been in perpetual toxic relationships, this is going to sound like tough love, but I need to say it anyways. You are actually disrespecting yourself. And you're not only disrespecting yourself, but you're also disrespecting any future person that you decide to get into a relationship with, unless you do this work, unless you decide to do the inner work, unless you decide to cut soul ties, unless you decide to become the person that you want. Because if you don't do that work, that loop is open of maybe that person that cheated on you, maybe that person that just left without even any kind of regard. All of those things, until you take it down this process of understanding, what did I need to learn? I must apply the wisdom in my life. And then I need to forgive and move into a place of gratitude. That's literally the 4 steps. Anytime you have any kind of pain, frustration, trauma from anything in your life, you have to go through those 4 steps. Because it's not until you move into a place of gratitude for that person that might have done something absolutely awful. And I don't mean that this is turning their wrongs into a right. You know, if someone truly hurt you and was just a total, I'm going to say it, just a total ass, that doesn't, I'm not saying that you have to say, oh, what you did is okay. It's not that at all. You can still have someone that just did something that was totally ridiculous, and maybe it is unforgivable. But you can choose to forgive yourself for having allowed that person to do that in your life. And it's not until you forgive yourself that you'll truly be able to move forward without having to worry about that situation reappearing in your life. Because I was actually, and I'll be totally raw and vulnerable with all of you guys on this, I was actually in a relationship with someone who perpetually self-sabotaged. And it wasn't until I realized that that's what was happening, because of the fact that he had gone through something that was traumatic in his past and he had never figured it out. He never took the time to actually heal from that. So what he was doing is recreating it in every single relationship he was in. He recreated. And it was toxicity after toxicity after toxicity. And obviously, once I realized that, obviously I left. But it was sad to see someone that was so unaware of the fact that they were recreating this awful trauma they had gone through in every single relationship, just because their mind was proving to themselves that they weren't crazy. Because if you truly believe something in your mind, your subconscious is going to make sure to recreate that situation so that it proves to you that you're not a complete psycho. So it's extremely important to understand this. And like I said, respect yourself enough to take the time after a relationship or even a friendship or a business partnership, let's say, that totally screwed you over. You have to take some time for yourself to be able to go through those steps, move into a place of forgiveness, move into a place of gratitude, so that you can actually start to create the space within yourself to then call in the awesome business partners, the awesome relationship, the awesome friendships. So this applies to every aspect of your life. So now you're probably asking, okay, well, how do I cut soul ties? Thanks, Stephanie. You're telling me all this stuff. And you're like, yeah, I need to do this, but how the heck am I supposed to do it? Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can. There's so many different ways that people have of cutting soul ties. But this is my personal way because I'm a huge visualization nerd. That is my thing. That's what I dive into. I absolutely love it. Dr. Obam and his work has honestly really helped me up my visualization game now that I understand my mind on a whole new level. But one of the biggest things to be able to understand and visualize is almost visualize your heart being connected to someone else's heart, let's say in the past that hurt you, and being connected almost like by a string. Because that's what happens when you're energetically entangled with someone, is you do have that soul tie, that connection. Now, what you need to do is obviously you first need to move into a place of gratitude. But if you still feel like there's that pull, like there's still that energetic space within you, or you keep thinking of them and you don't know why, because you don't want anything to do with them anymore, it's because you still have energetic ties to them. So you want to be able to let that dissolve. And one of the biggest things is being able to close your eyes, visualize that connection with that person. And if you have to, visualize yourself taking a pair of scissors and cutting that tie. And then visualizing the other person just dissolve into dust and go back into the universe. Now, that's a really powerful visualization technique that can help so much when it comes to cutting soul ties and creating space within your heart. And if you need, visualize that space that maybe was taken before. Visualize that just turning into dust and floating away to be recycled into the universe. And I know we're going deep into a lot of energy and entanglement and, you know, things that probably most people don't really talk about, but we've entered into a space right now with COVID where people are craving more. People understand that there's so much more to what's happening in the world than just some kind of superficial virus. We understand that a lot of times we are the virus, and that our lack of ability to connect with ourselves, with others, with source and Mother Nature is what's causing us to operate from this space of greed. So that's why it's so important to understand the higher consciousness of energy, which I'm just tapping into. You know, this is stuff that I'm super excited to keep diving into because it's the truth. It truly is the truth of our universe, is connection. Mike is saying, agree, we are the virus. I love it. Mike is an amazing, highly conscious soul. I think I have heard a lot of people say amazing things about you, Mike, so I appreciate you being on here, and I'm excited to connect with you in the future. So thank you. So when it comes to cutting soul ties and having done that, once you've done that and you've created that space, now you're probably thinking, okay, but how do I still call in the people that I want? You know, I still want that love. Maybe you're just not surrounded by people that help you grow and people that help you co-create. Well, one of the biggest things that I've kept talking about is you have to become that person. So I want you all to type into the chat box right now, I must become before I call in. I want you to type that into the chat box. Amazing. Annie is on it. Holy geez, you are a fast typer. I love it. You guys are awesome. Anyone that is watching this on live, please comment on the live feed as well. I must become before I call in. Now, one of the biggest exercises to do with this is, it's going to sound a little bit tough, but just stick with me on this. I want you all to take a pen and a paper, and I want you to write down 3 of the things that drove you crazy about maybe an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend or a friend or a parent or a business partner. Just the 3 things that drove you absolutely insane. Can't stand it. If some of you guys want to be real and raw, put it in the comments. I want to see some of these things that are like, I can't stand it. This drives me insane. Like, oh, this really just grinds my gears whenever this happens. Or something that like really, really hurt you. So I want you guys to type that out, write it out. If I have some brave people writing it in the comments section. Amazing. We've got some people that are doing it. Punctuality. Okay, cool. I love it. Being ignored. That's a good one, Debbie. Amazing. Smoking. That's a good one, Penny. That's awesome. So not being put first, positivity, communication. Oh, you guys are going deep. I love it. I love it. Okay. Now I'm going to throw you for a loop here right now because you're probably not expecting what I'm about to say. But I want you to now ask yourself, where do I do that? That thing that drives you so crazy, in the exception of smoking, Vinny, I don't think you actually smoke. So I'm going to use that as an exception. But everything else that people said, where do I maybe not respect other people's time? Where do I maybe show up without a positive attitude? I'm just reading from the comments here. You know, where do I give people mixed messages? You know, where do I not put myself first? Because I see Karen said not being put first. Where do you not put yourself first? And with every single thing you write down on that list, maybe you're going to get off this call later and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to write down all of these things and your list is going to get longer and longer. But then I want you to understand that every single thing you see in someone else that drives you crazy is something within yourself that drives you even more insane. So I want you to get to a place where you, I see some people laughing, which is, it's the truth. So now that you do that, for those 3 things you just wrote down, I want you to write down a positive affirmation that states that you do respect yourself, you know, that you do communicate with ease. And you want to say it in the I am. So if you want to start with, I am happy and grateful that I am punctual and respect other people's time. I am happy and grateful that I don't ignore others. No, you don't want to put a don't ignore. That I pay attention to others. See, you always want to put the positive sense because your mind can't tell the difference between a positive and a negative. So whenever you're writing affirmations, it has to be in the doing sense and as though you have already created it. So anything that you wrote down on that list, write down the opposite affirmation. So let's say you are in a relationship or have been in a relationship with someone who, like you said, didn't put you first or didn't pay enough attention to you. The other affirmation would be, I pay close attention to myself and to others. Let's say when they're speaking, or if someone's always on their phone all the time and it drives you nuts when they're talking to you, there's that disruption in connection and you can feel it. It almost brings on this feeling of anxiety. Where do you do that to people? Because I'm sure that you probably do, because that was one that came up for me. I hated it when people were on their phone and talking to me. Well, I have to say that I've done that before. So now I wrote the opposite affirmation of saying, you know, I pay full attention to people when they're speaking to me. And being able to give without the expectation to receive. If you want someone who is actually going to give to you just as much as you give to them, that's something that you need to practice on a day-to-day life. Maybe even with your parents, maybe even, I don't know, with your dog, maybe with your friends. Give without the expectation to receive, and that's the kind of person you're going to call in. So this is why I say we must first become the person before we actually call them in. And you guys gave some amazing examples here. So I love that. And I love how raw and honest all of you were. I can't see any of the ones that are on the Facebook Live right now, but I'm sure there's some awesome ones on there too. So make sure to write down that opposite affirmation. Now I want to leave some time for questions at the end. So if you guys have any questions right now, please type them in and I'll probably, address them at around like 1:45, 1:50-ish. But one of the last things that I want to cover is understanding interdependence. Because interdependence is something that so many of us on this amazing family that you see here are understanding on a deeper level. We're understanding that there is strength in numbers, which is a generic thing that you've probably already heard, but we're understanding the fact that you maybe don't have to do everything alone. And even though, yes, you're probably perfectly capable of achieving success on your own, you are actually capable of achieving your purpose once you surround yourself and allow yourself to surrender to unity. Surrender to the fact that you can need other people. And this is a battle that I had with myself not too long ago mentally, where it was like my ego and my higher self were having this conversation because I had this view and I saw the fact that I needed other people in order to fulfill my purpose. And that sparked up something in my ego saying, what? You don't need anybody else. Why do you need somebody else? You're perfectly capable of doing it on your own. Don't allow yourself to depend on anybody else. That was my ego. But then my higher self took over and said, you know what? You actually are capable of needing people. You just have to be aware enough of yourself and of who you've become so that you can call in the people that are truly going to be that base of support, that are going to cause you to keep shifting up and up and up until you actually reach that purpose. So it's okay to need other people. And that's reaching a whole new level of surrender. Because just like Dr. Obam always says, there is so much strength and power in surrender than there is in operating from a place of anger or fear or whatever it might be. Because the moment you surrender to the fact that you understand and that you're okay with the fact that you need someone, that you need maybe a partner, you need someone in terms of business, you need someone in terms of love, when it comes to intimacy, it's okay. But you need to pick the right people. That's the biggest thing. You need to pick people that are going to push you to grow. Because if you're with someone and you're always around people that are just here and they make you feel good and they make you feel comfortable, that's not enough. You need to be around people that push you to your higher self. You need to be around people that actually foster your higher self instead of fostering always your inner child. Because that's when you're going to start to get into a space where you start to grow and make quantum leaps. And I can speak on a place of experience right now because of the fact that over the past few months with this amazing opportunity that has come up, it's been like, I feel like I'm growing almost a year's worth within a day. And I'm constantly being tested. And so many of us on here, I know Fasana, Omar, Obam, all of these amazing people on here that are going through the same thing. Every single day we're put through another test. But it's understanding the fact that, just like Dr. Obam says, and I think Omar and I talked about this the other day too, is opposition shows up the moment you set yourself up with a goal that's going to allow yourself to grow. So it's really embracing that dark energy, however you want to call it, dark energy, maybe some people that are more religious, they, refer to the devil, whatever it might be. Opposition shows up, but see it as the light, because if there is no opposition, there is no growth. And the moment you understand it that way, and then you start to say, hey, thanks universe, thanks for testing me today. And thank you for giving me the space to pass it, to create more energetic space within myself, whether it have been a client that decided to just up and leave. Maybe that could get you really mad in the past. But now today, you're going to say, that's the universe creating space within me, eliminating that person, that anchor, that tie, that energetic space that was taken up inside me, and creating place for something bigger and more beautiful and more abundant to come in. So once you start to understand that, you can actually get yourself into a place where you like challenges, where when something bad comes up, you're like, okay, let me see how I can deal with this, because I know there's something way better around the corner. And I want to leave you with this, because success is never about, and I'm talking about success in relationships, in health, in business, because those are really the three main pillars of achieving happiness. Success doesn't come from not being tested. Happiness doesn't come from not having, someone do something that pisses you off, or having someone that hurts you, or having things come up in your business that were unexpected. Those things never stop. But the difference is the people that are successful in growing their personal relationships, people that are successful in growing their business and growing their health, they are just able to learn from, express gratitude for, and release that anchor quickly. It's the speed at which you can release emotions that determines your success, not whether or not that emotion comes up in the first place. So that's why, and if you guys haven't gotten it yet, I want you guys to all write it down, that 4-step process of what did I need to learn? I'm now going to apply it in my day-to-day life. I'm going to forgive the person or situation that caused that. And then I'm going to express gratitude for them. The moment you're in step 4, you are golden. And this, the better you get at it, the better and the quicker that you get at releasing those emotions. Maybe it's somebody that just gets you mad in that moment. Now you have the tools to say, oh, take a step back, listen to these 4 steps. Now I can release it. I can understand it. I can close the loop. I can cut the tie. It's done. Let's move on. And the faster you get at that, the faster the universe is going to be like, okay, awesome. You're ready for something else. Here's your next one. Here's your next abundant opportunity. And that's how things start to snowball in an amazing way. And you start to make those quantum leaps. The faster you can take, release, learn from those emotions, the faster the success starts to come. So it's an amazing, amazing space to be in. And I'm really excited to be able to have shared this with all of you today, because I think it's things that too many people, when it comes to people that have achieved success, I know I'm just getting there, in all 100% honesty. This is the beginning of my journey to success. And I think so many of us can speak to this on this call in terms of having been able to be blessed with an opportunity that's allowing us the space and allowing us to have a vessel to share our stories and to share our message. And one of the last things that I want to leave you all with is the fact that there's actually new research that's coming out that is showing us that the heart actually has independent neurons in it that think independently of the brain. Now, this is research from, I don't know if you've heard of him, but Greg Braden. He does a lot of research on this. And he's someone that's actually discovered that there are neurons, there's 40,000 neurons within your heart that actually think independently of the brain. Now, I want you to apply what I talked about at the beginning of this talk now with what I'm talking about at the end, because I want to close it out, just like Obama always says, start with the end in mind. So the end is really reconnecting. Understand that your heart can think independently, and that the more reconnected you get to yourself, and the more that you're able to tap into that intuition and to that source, you're actually able to bypass your subconscious mind to a certain degree, because you can start to think with your heart instead of thinking all the time with your head. And I know that's going to go opposite, completely opposite to what you've been told since you were a kid. Your mom always saying, don't think with your heart, think with your head, don't be impulsive, don't do these things. It doesn't necessarily have to do with impulsion, but now that you understand this, you can understand that there is so much more power in reconnecting to yourself. And simply taking the time to, even if you want to put your hand on your heart sometimes, even once a day, and close your eyes and take some deep breaths and envision that energy and that connection going between your heart, between your mind, and envision that amazing white light that's coming within you, so that you can start to be more intuitive, to understand that you don't have to abide by societal rules, like Dr. Obam says. Abide by universal laws. Abide by the fact that energy is so much stronger than time. And abide by the fact that if you do find people in your life, you no longer have to abide by the rules that maybe you lived by your whole life before. Who cares if you're maybe 40 years old and not married and don't have kids, but you're happy as heck and you're on your journey to self-fulfillment and actualization. That's your journey. So time means nothing. Time honestly means nothing when it comes to love and connection. All that matters is the fact that you are connected with yourself and that you become the person that you want to attract. So on that note, I want to open it up for questions now. And I want to see if anybody, has any questions, thoughts, comments on whatever it is that I said. I'd be happy to answer them. So let's just see here. I have Leaf that says, you will learn to trust intuition. Practice, it takes time. Amazing. Yes, that's fantastic. I love that. Let me see. I don't know, Obam or Fasana or anyone, if there's questions on the Facebook page. If someone can just let me know, that would be amazing.
I'm looking for you now, Steph. That was
Awesome.
So I'm just gonna do this right now on behalf of everybody, because you just dropped so much wisdom and spiritual knowledge. Look, Anna's over there doing a round of applause. I'm not seeing any questions just come up yet. I think everyone is definitely processing this time, because that was so much just enlightened wisdom and knowledge. We do have a question here from Leah saying, what's the difference, or is there a difference, or how would you describe forgiveness versus letting go?
That's a really good question. And really, you have to forgive to let go. So they're kind of, there's not really a parallel between the two. The parallel is that you need one in order to have the other. So it's not until you forgive yourself and forgive the other person that you're then able to let go and cut that tie and cut that emotion and close that loop in your subconscious mind. So if that answers that question, then let me know, give me a thumbs up, or even write yes in the chat box, Leaf, and that's amazing.
Love it. All right. Next question, Steph, is from Peter. The question is, how do you trust your intuition when you don't yet have the life experience?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. So when it comes down to intuition, if you don't necessarily have the life experience, I think sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for what we've gone through. And sometimes that imposter syndrome can come up in our minds when it comes to, am I actually capable of being able to help somebody else with this? Am I actually capable of speaking out about this? Am I capable of doing this next task that's been handed to me in my life when it comes to intuition? So that's really one of the biggest tests of all. Peter saying imposter syndrome 16 hours a day. Well, Peter, I have heard you speak, and I am definitely here to tell you that you are no imposter. You do have the wisdom, and you do have all of the knowledge and ability to be able to help people, because the way I see it is giving hearts. Oh, love you too. The way I see it, because of my coaching journey, and this is something that I know Obam also has talked to us about as our mentor, and saying, you need to learn before you can teach. You need to do, learn, and then teach. So getting yourself into a place where you have still learned massive amounts of lessons before you've gotten to this place in your life. So you can still help people that are here and getting them to where you are now. There's still so much integrity in that, because I know you're someone with high integrity, because I operate the same way, which is why it's taken me until this moment to share this talk, because of the fact that I was waiting until I had called in the love that I craved before I told people the steps to getting there. So that's why it's really important to, one, it's amazing you have so much integrity, but two, understand that you have earned the fact that you're in this family. You have earned the fact that you have been given an opportunity to share your message on a global platform to impact the world and generate income for yourself. You've earned that. And you need to congratulate yourself for being here and for being able to be surrounded by people like Dr. Obam, like Pasana, like all of us on this call. So you are definitely capable. Your intuition is actually so much more powerful than maybe you'll give it credit for. And doing some of these exercises and reconnecting with yourself is something that can allow you to reach that higher level of consciousness so that you can keep helping more people. So if that answers your question, Peter, I hope it does.
Let's look. Peter, is that a thumbs up from you? Where are you at, Peter?
Sorry, at the gas station.
Oh, amazing.
So is that a thumbs up for Steph's response?
Amazing stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing.
So Steph,
Obam's asking a question.
Yes, we have two from Obamana. So the first one.
Okay.
First one, how did you discover the 4 steps that you trained on today?
That's a really good question. So it's a combination of knowledge from having mentors, and having people, and reading a lot of different books, and reading a lot of the subconscious, the way the subconscious mind works, because I'm a total nerd, as everybody knows. Anybody who's on here knows that I'm a nerd. So I need to understand like the psychology and the science behind things before I can actually apply it, because I need that awareness, that deep inner awareness and that deep knowledge, so that I can finally understand how I can apply it in my own life. So that's why I like to teach that way, is actually give the science and the biology behind why all these things happen. And I know I didn't really dive into a lot of science today, but anyone who hears me talking about nutrition, I have that same approach. So it was a combination of life experience and of just nerding out on, books on how the subconscious mind works. And, part of Dr. Obam's book definitely helped me shape this 4-step system, because he allowed me to understand the way that my subconscious mind worked at a deeper level. So I could then combine what I went through and what worked for me with all of the science behind it to turn into the 4-step process that I use today. So Obam was a huge help in that. So great question.
Awesome. Great answer, Steph. And part 2 of Obam Anna's question is, what is your advice for going through a fresh separation?
Ooh, that's a very good one. So really, I would say that there's part of what I trained on today, but there's one other thing that I didn't touch on yet. So I'm glad that you asked this question. It's understanding where you were in your own life when you called in that person that might have hurt you, or that left you, or that you decided to leave. Because a lot of times when we're going through a breakup, we second guess ourselves and we're like, did I make the right decision? Should I have left that person? Should that person have left me? Should I go back to them? I don't know. And you get into this whole internal conversation and dialogue with yourself. So to be able to understand the fact that you made the right decision, the first step to take is to ask yourself, okay, where was I in my life when I called in this person? Was I in a place of abundance? Was I in a job that I loved? Was I already surrounded by family and friends that made me feel full? Was my cup full, as Fasana always likes to say? Was that something that you were in, that ideal space for yourself, where you actually were the person that you wanted to attract when that person came into your life? Or were you on the other side, where you were operating from a place of scarcity? Maybe you had just lost your job, or you were financially, struggling, or, some of your friends had just decided to up and leave you. Or maybe you just went through another breakup. If you're one of those people that is a toxic, perpetual person that goes into relationship after relationship. So that's the first step in understanding, because if you were in a place of scarcity when you attracted that person, chances are you shouldn't be with them, because chances are you resonated with traits inside of them that were the wrong ones, that were the traits that were going to put you into a state of comfort, because you were looking to get back into that state of comfort. This is something I learned from Dr. Obam, is that your creative subconscious will continue to work and work and work and find ways of getting you back into that comfort state if you haven't yet created a new space visually that you wanted to be in. So without even realizing it, you would have manifested this person that maybe made you feel good and secure, only because it sucked you right back into your comfort zone, and then it held you there like an anchor. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is obviously the 4 steps. Like I said, what did you need to learn from the relationship? Apply that, become that person, forgive them, and have gratitude for them. And then that mirror exercise of saying, what drove you crazy about them, and what traits does that show up within yourself? And then creating the affirmations so that you can then be reminded of that every single day. Write them down, put it on a sticky note of, that example of like, I give without the expectation of receiving. If you had someone who you felt was selfish, if you were with someone that's like, why are they always, just taking from me? Well, maybe part of you also took. So those are really the 3 things. Where were you in your life when you attracted them? The 4 steps in being able to release a subconscious thought that you guys already know, and then the kind of mirror principle where you're writing down that list and making the opposite affirmation. Those 3 things together are powerful, so powerful in being able to overcome a past relationship. So I don't know if that helps you out, and I hope that answers your question, Obam and Anna. Amazing question, so thank you for allowing me to explain that.
Love it. We have a couple more questions here, and we're right almost at the hour. So I'm going to go to Dana's quickly first. I think it's a short response from you, Steph. Do you feel a sense of mastery with all the wisdom that you teach, train, and impart?
Whoa, that's a really good one. So I would say yes on most levels, but I think part of me also still has a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes. And that's why it's taken me so long. And I like to be just raw and real with all of you, because I think that's always something that as a coach you're going to have. If you have any kind of integrity, I think sometimes there's little parts maybe about like this new course you want to do, but you're like, should I do it? There's always going to be that little part of you. So you need to understand and get to the place where you're saying, you know what? I have mastered this. I have gotten into a place where this is good and solid in my life. I'm now able to teach others about it. So I hope that answers your question, Dana, in terms of
Steph, this one's too good. I have to ask it. I know we're right there on the nose. Mike is asking, how do you help someone learn the difference between entanglement and unhealthy dependency?
I'm going to applaud that question, because that's a really awesome question. That's a badass question, Mike. I love that. And that's actually something that I was talking about before in terms of detachment. And what I'm going to say is this: there is love in not loving. You don't have to love everyone. And being able to detach from people, and being able to detach from being dependent on someone for the wrong reasons, dependent on someone who is fulfilling the wrong areas of you, like I said, being stuck in that comfort zone. There's a difference between understanding energetic entanglement and understanding that those people you're entangled with are pulling you up. They're causing you to be out of your discomfort. They're causing you out of your comfort zone. That is good, healthy, energetic entanglement. The unhealthy dependency, like I said, is people who have held you back, people who are making you stagnate, people who are not making you feel good. Just ask yourself, does this feel good? If the answer is no, you shouldn't be doing it. It's pretty simple. So that's an amazing question. And yes, being able to detach from outcomes and understand that your vibrational frequency of neutrality is actually so much higher than what of, like, let's say anger or guilt, where you're feeling like you have to be attached to someone because of this reason. You're allowed to be neutral. You're allowed to cut ties. You're allowed to detach and to just be neutral. So I hope that that answers that question, Mike, but that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I am going to take this time to now thank you guys. Thank you so much for having listened, for all the amazing comments, all the amazing questions. I hope this was enlightening. And like I said, if anyone wants to know what we're up to with this crazy family that we're in right now, I'm sure you've seen, a lot of people pop up and there's laughs, we smile, we do, we play, we work together. So if you want to know a little bit more about what we're doing, just comment, I want info below if you're on Facebook right now. And we'd be happy to chat with you so that you can also be part of this high vibrational family that we're in. Now, I want to take this time to introduce our speaker who is going to do our Power Hour tomorrow. And it's none other than the beautiful Miss Fisana Patel, because honestly, I'm so excited to be able to have her come on and share her wisdom on holistic wealth with you tomorrow, because her and I are soul sisters. She's one of those people that, like I said, I was meant to be energetically entangled with. And I'm so excited to be able to share this space with her and to be able to share this amazing aspect of unity with all of you. So on that, I am going to close this out. I hope that you're all having an amazing day. I hope that I'm going to see you on the Power Hour tomorrow. It's going to be the same link. So if you want to hop back on, I'm super excited to see you. So I hope everybody is going to have an amazing rest of your day. And I will chat with you again tomorrow. Love all of you.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.